Hello, it's LaShawn with Let's Get Social, and we're getting ready to sew McCall's 8370. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to sew this skirt. We are actually going to just do view B. So we're going to get started in about maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And thank you all for tuning in late. We usually start at 7, and we are starting at closer to 8:30. So thank you for joining. And I'm just making sure that I'm getting all my platforms up and running. Save changes. And there we go. So we're going to be sewing. Hi, Charnette. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Happy Friday. So we're going to be sewing McCall's 8370, and we're going to be doing view B, just the skirt today. We will do the top at another time, but we're going to just focus on the skirt today. I did not do a mock of this, so just for those that are wondering, sometimes I do a mock. I did not do a mock. Hi, Kebella. Thank you for joining. I did not do a mock, but I have read through the instructions. I feel like I understand them pretty good. But we're going to be doing this together. One of the things that I did do, just so that you're aware before we really dive into it, is that I was looking at so this pattern is a pattern that I bought probably when it first came out. So I'm not gonna say a while ago, like it was years ago, but it was a while ago. And apparently I picked it up without really paying too close attention to the measurements on it. And so when I looked at it just now, I realized I took my hip and waist measurements, and I realized that, the size of this pattern is not my size. Like technically my sizes are falling in between a 16 and an 18 pattern size. And this goes up to a size 14, which typically works for me, but it's not working. So it's not my size. So what I did do is I did some modifications to the pattern. I took my measurement size and I increased the waist and I increased the hip size. I had to increase the waist by 5 inches, which I spread out, there's 3 skirt pieces for the skirt. There's a front, a side front. Well, actually there's 3 skirt sections, 4 pieces, 2 back pieces, a side front, and a front piece. So I spread out the 5 inches on either side of all of these patterns, all of these pattern pieces. So all 4 of the pattern pieces, I spread out the 5 inches for the waist. And then for the hip, I needed to add an inch. So I added an inch over the course of all of those 4 pattern pieces. So on either side. So the challenging part was not adding that. I did, once I cut it out, I pinned it together. I tried it on, and I feel like it's going to fit. It has a little bit room, which it probably won't have once it'll be just the right amount of room to take up for the seam allowance. The challenging part was that this skirt has facing at the top, at the waist, and it also has facing at the bottom. And so trying to account for the facing is where it got a little bit tricky. So I realized at the last minute that I did need to recut some of the pieces, because they didn't necessarily, when I matched them up to the skirt, they didn't necessarily line up to where the skirt was. So I did recut some of those pieces. So with that said, you all are doing this with me. We're going to see how it goes. And of course, if anybody's sewing along, please don't hesitate to drop some comments or ask some questions, and I'll keep checking in too to see if people are sewing along. So with that, we are going to get started. So for those that have not been here before, hi Cindy, hi LaShawn, thank you both for joining. I do follow along the instructions. I go step by step. I need the instructions. Even when I do muslin, I still often go back to the instructions, because it helps me learn. I feel like I am, doing, I feel like it helps me. It helps me when I use the instructions to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So the other thing I did want to just bring to your attention is that we will be creating fringe on this skirt, which is something that I have not done before. I am using a jacquard fabric, which is, I really like it a lot. So this is what the fabric looks like that I'm using. And this is actually the piece that will be the piece that we'll use to add the fringe to the skirt. So the jacket has fringe and the skirt has fringe. I've never created fringe before, so it says on the instructions, do not pre-cut or pre-create this fringe before you're ready to put it on. So I've done nothing to this other than just cut it out. I did, because this fabric does fray a lot, I did, hi, Miss Tata. No, I came on about an hour and a half late. I posted something to my stories that I was going to be starting at 8:15, probably now more closer to 8:30, just because I needed a little bit more prep time, because I realized at the end I needed to make some adjustments, and I absolutely needed to serge all of this fabric. I'm using jacquard fabric, and it does fray quite a lot. And so I thought, I can't get on this without having serged every piece. So I did serge every piece. So I've done the serging ahead of time of every single piece. I did the interfacing ahead of time. And those are the two things that I did ahead of time. There are some darts in the skirt that I'll be putting in while we're on live. The other thing that I haven't done before is I have not used this ribbon. It is called gross grain. I might not be saying that correctly, but gross grain ribbon. So we will be tying some ribbon. So if you can see this skirt pattern, you'll see that on this, it looks white or a light gray. That is that ribbon that we'll be putting on. So we'll be putting that onto the skirt. Again, I haven't done it before. Depending on the time, we'll see if that's something I'm going to do on the live, or you'll see the post after the live. And for those that do get on every Friday, you'll see I recently did post some of the completed projects that I didn't get to finish on live. My goal is always to finish the project on live, but when it hits midnight, this is technically supposed to be like 7 to 11. And then sometimes I'll go over to midnight. If it hits midnight and I still have quite a bit to do, sometimes I'll put it on the dress form, or I'll try it on just to give you an idea. But I did finish a couple of the pieces recently, and I posted them from our last live. So hopefully you got a chance to see them. I posted them on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. So hopefully you got a time. Thank you, Miss Tata. Thank you so much. I always appreciate you joining. Hi, Tony. Thank you for joining. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to get started. Again, we're doing McCalls 8370, and we are just doing the skirt piece of that. And we will do the jacket later, but right now we are going to focus on the skirt. Our goal is still to try to be finished by 11. We'll see how it goes. Hi, Shannon. Welcome. All right. So we're going to get started, and let me just turn over to the skirt. So the first thing is that we are putting a dart in piece number 8. So I mentioned earlier that the skirt has 3 pieces. It's piece 8, 9, and 10 make up the 3 pieces. It's the front, the side front, and then the back, which is 2 actual pieces. So it's not cut on the fold, it's 2 separate pieces. And part of that is because there's a zipper. And so as I mentioned before, I did have to, like I said, add 5 total inches to the waist and an inch to the hip. And so you'll see that you'll see this extra where I've added some extra on either side, and you'll see that on all of the pattern pieces. So if you're wondering what that extra brown is, that is the tracing paper that I added to add, again, the 5 inches around the waist and the inch around the hips. And that's, again, because I was taking this size 14 to a size 16/18. And like I said, I already did, serge the entire all of the pieces, so we don't have to worry about that. If you were on last week, I was spent a lot of time doing some serging, and we will not be doing that today. We will not be serging. So I am just putting the first step, which is to put this dart in to piece number 8. And there is a dart in each one of the pieces. And I try to do the darts ahead of time, just because it makes it so much faster that you could then just skip that step. because usually most people don't have questions about darts. So I don't usually do them. Can I see that? Yes, I can. Okay. I can see it good enough. And this fabric, so I used this jacquard fabric before to make a shirt. It's so structured. It just gives a lot of body to it. This is a softer fabric than the other one that I used in the past. It's a little softer, so I feel like it should feel, great to my skin. When I tried it on earlier today, I did not have, I didn't feel like it was itchy or anything like that. One thing I did think about was putting a lining in here just so that I could have a softer texture to my skin, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. Honestly. So I'm going to try to keep turning. I have to figure out my, my setup, because I really do like for you to be able to see, like, what I'm doing. But I think I have enough cameras that I need to figure out. There's got to be a way positioning so that everyone can see what I'm working on, what I'm doing. All right, so I put this dart in, number 8, and then the next step is to attach number 8. So that's the dart. If you can see it, there's the dart. So it's attached number 8 to piece number 9. So piece number 9 does not have a dart, but the 2 back pieces do. So this is piece number 9. Again, you can see where I added, some inches to it. So right sides together, I'm going to put piece number 9 to piece number 8. And you only are stitching down. So this skirt does have a little split in it, which I think is super cute. And so as a result, you're only going to stitch down to, there is a dot there that you're stitching down to. Thank you, Miss Tata, for the gifts. I appreciate you. Hi, Tydri. Thank you for joining. So I'm just marking this little dot with my chalk. And I'm going to stitch down to the dot. So I'm just pinning now. I'm so excited about this whole, set. So the fall Nomi patterns came out today. I have not had a chance to look at all of them, or at least some of them. I saw people posting them. So I have to go and look because I do want to finalize the patterns that I'm going to be sewing for the rest, October, November, December. And I've been trying to wait for all the fall patterns to come out so I can. Thank you, Kizzy. Welcome. And thank you for the gifts. And thank you, Miss Tata, for the gifts too. But I want to, kind of roll it out. I am, if you have been on my other lives, you know that I'm trying to focus a little bit more on like what I call like work clothes. That's been my plan. I've been sewing, for a little over a year now. And what I haven't done is sewn clothes that I can actually wear to work. Most of the clothes that I'm making are clothes that I wear in my leisure time. And so people always ask me, oh, when I'm wearing stuff to work, did you make that? Did you make that? And I'm like, no, I didn't make it. And so as a result of like, not having made it, now I'm like, I want to be able to say, yeah, I made this. So it felt good. For those that follow me on my other social media platforms, I wore the skirts and the top that I made last week. I wore them to my conference that I went to. And I got lots of, oh, you look so, the outfit, not me personally, but the outfit looked really nice. And where did you get it? And of course, I was so happy to be able to finally tell people that I made it. And I mean, the response was just overwhelming. And I stood strong. Of course, you all know that I don't sew for other people, because I love sewing, and I feel like for me, that's just not, I stay in my lane, and sewing for other people is definitely not my lane. But yeah, I want to just be able to sew more clothes. I work a lot. That's a big part of my life. And so I want to be able to wear clothes sew clothes that I wear to work, and not just when I'm, out with my family or my boyfriend or friends. I also want to be able to sew clothes that I wear to work. And I'm really, I'm really feeling it. I'm loving it. So I said all that to say that that's what we're going to be doing. More of that. More of that. Hey, Julian. Welcome. So Julian is going to be covering for me next week. I think, Julian, you're doing more of your frock tails, New York frock tails. So I think if that's what you're doing, I think that's what I thought you were doing. But anyway, I appreciate you, Julian, so much for covering for me, all the times that you cover for me. So I appreciate you for that. Okay, so we've sewn this to the dot. So you see it's got this little split right here. So that is piece 8 and 9. And now you're moving to piece 10, which is here. These are the two back pieces. Again, I've already serged them. And like I said, I had to make modifications to this piece as well. I am very, what do you call it? I feel really good about, optimistic. That's what I'm going to say. I'm really optimistic that this is going to fit. Why? Because I pinned it together and it fit. So I didn't put the darts in, but for the most part, it fit the way I needed it to fit. So I'm happy about that. Anyway, a lot of us are going to frock tails. Anybody going to frock tails, drop something in the chat. I want to know who's going to frock tails. I have not started on my outfit. I have done a whole concept for it, but I have not started on it. I will be starting on it like very soon. I ordered some fabrics. Anyway, I've done everything but started, and I need to start. Yeah, I definitely need to start. I'm very excited about the Studio 54 theme. That's totally like my thing. It's so interesting. I went to see Jean-Paul Basquiat, the art exhibit in New York, and part of, he was very involved in or went to and did art around Studio 54, and they had a room that had like all these pictures of him and different people during that time. And I mean, it was I spent a lot of time in that space, just absorbing the space. First of all, I love museums, and I love that type of museum. So in Baltimore, they did a hip hop, Baltimore, was it the Baltimore Museum of Art? I think so. Did a hip hop theme exhibit, and it was just so dope. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I went, in fact, was it Mother's Day? Yeah, for Mother's Day. I went with my kids there, and it was good to kind of like let them see the history of hip hop and, all of that. So, hi, Demetria, welcome. You say you need to sew something before Miss Carol's class. You never did clothes, so you're so nervous. You will be just fine. When I tell you, if you are doing Miss Carol's class, like, she is one of the best, in terms of teachers. So you'll be fine. But it doesn't hurt to try something just to kind of get your fingers wet, to get your own anxiety, if you've never sewn anything before. But welcome. I'm glad that you'll be in the class. Okay, I'm putting my dart in there's 2 piece 10, so I'm putting my dart in one of the pieces. Hi, Angel. Welcome. Hi, Zena. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so one of the darts in. Oh, where's my other piece? Is this my piece? Nope. Okay, that's done. That's done. All right, here we go. Here's my other piece 10. I still, for Miss Carol's class, Demetria, I don't have my fabric. I don't have anything. So I need to get my stuff. I don't even have anything, for the class. I got so much to do between now and then. Hi, Myra. Welcome. Thank you for coming. You know what? As much as I'm like not I'm not gonna say I don't like putting darts in, but I prefer to have them, put in ahead of time. I love darts. In fact, I just like the way they look. I like the way that they look on my clothes. And sometimes when there are pleats and things, I replace them with darts just because I like the way the darts look. Is it pleats? Yes. Ooh. All right. I don't want no problems with this thing, with it getting stuck. Okay, so I put the darts in piece 10. And now what it's actually telling me to do is to put the zipper in. So as I mentioned, there is an invisible zipper that goes in the back of two-piece 10s. So I'm going to be putting the invisible zipper in to those pieces. And I'm actually going to use zipper tape. So I go back and forth. Zipper tape can sometimes, it's not scary, but I don't use it enough. But every time I use it, I'm like, why don't I use this every time? Because it is so much easier to use the zipper tape. So let me get my zipper tape and we are gonna use that. Okay. I was trying to figure out what zipper I wanted to use. So this calls for a 7-inch zipper, but I kind of want to use this blue. I kind of want to use this, even though technically it's invisible. You're not going to see it. I'm obsessed with this blue. I almost wish you could see it. Doesn't that look so, matchy? But this zipper is a little bit too long. Not that I couldn't cut it. I could definitely cut it. Same thing with this one, perfect match. But these are both 24-inch zippers. So I'm not gonna put any more work on myself than I need to. So I'm gonna use this zipper. I was just debating. I knew that those colors matched perfectly. All right, and then I have my zipper tape here. It is very sticky. I got it from Wablack. I cannot remember exactly what I paid for it, but I love it. It's a ton. I've put in probably 4 or 5 zippers with it so far. All right. I just put in a zipper on my this last dress that I just did. I put it in without even doing a basting stitch. I literally just used the zipper tape to put it in. And I was like, oh, this is so much easier. All right, let me just measure this out. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? Wrong side. And see, this is why I always do the basting stitch, because I'm like, when it comes to using the zipper tape, I'm like, what am I doing? I realize now when I did that, it was because the garment was finished. And I decided the very last minute to put a zipper in. Well, out of necessity, that is. Hey, Aisha, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Terrence. Hi, Nikki. All the celebrities are joining me tonight. What? Thank you. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate you. So we are doing, for those that might be just joining and don't know, we are doing McCalls 8370, and we're doing B, the skirt with the fringe on it. I'm excited to be able to dive into that. And we will be adding this gross grain ribbon. So I have it in like a gold color to match. I've never done that before. I'm thinking it's not going to be such a big deal, but we will see. Has anybody ever used any kind of ribbon, for that matter, before? Anybody ever created ruffles before? Hi, Valerie. Thank you, Terrence, for the gifts, and thank you, Miss Tata, for sharing. Miss Tata is always showing all the love. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone. So anybody ever, thank you, Terrence, for the gift. I don't know if I said that already, but I'm saying it again, just in case, because it's the stuff. You say you've used ribbon before. So this is my first time. I'm like, I have not used ribbon before. But it doesn't seem like it's too difficult. So I'm not expecting to have any kind of, I'm not expecting to call Lifeline. Thank you, Aisha. You said for seams before. Okay. Well, this is how it goes on this skirt. I don't know if you could see it, but the white here. Oh, what is that? Look at that. Thank you, Valerie. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. I love that. So the ribbon is just like this on this skirt. The white that you see here is how we're putting that ribbon in. So I was conflicted between using a blue or using this, but I was like, let me just play it neutral. You know, I like my neutral. So I'm putting a basting stitch in the first like 7 inches, and then I'm going to go to a regular stitch. I've been doing a lot of zippers lately. I feel like every garment that I've done lately has a zipper in it, which is okay. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. It's only making me better at zippers. All right, and now I'm going to a regular stitch, going back to my 2.5. All right. So I have put the basting stitch in. I'm going to use my iron to press it down, and then I'm going to use my tape. You say you've never done it before, and I can't wait to see the finished product because this is so you. Yes, you know this is me. This is me. Look, so let me tell you this. So I'm using a jacquard fabric right now for this, but I do plan to use a very thick oh, what is that fabric called? It's not spandex. I'm gonna get. I have something similar. I gotta go get it for you so you can see. But like a stretch bandage material that I'm going to use to make the same skirt. But I'm like, let me use this first. Let me get a feel for the process. And then I'm going to make it, because you are right. This is so me. But what I do want to make is I want to make a longer length one. Hi, Karen. Welcome. I want to make a longer length one. And I want to make it with that stretch bandage. Okay, so I am going to put my, then I mark it. I'm going to put my zipper tape from the top at the very edge, like where I want my zipper to stick. And I'm going to go down what I think is about 7 inches. And I just want to make sure it's only on the one side. The good thing about this zipper tape is you can lift it back up and readjust it early on. So if you've put it on or right away, you could lift it up and push it back or put it where you want it. And you could do the same thing with the zipper too. If for some reason you put the zipper on and it's not quite where you want it to be, you could do the same thing. So I'm just sticking this zipper tape like right on each side of the seam allowance. Of the seam. And I'm just making sure it's on the right side of each fabric so that it'll stick where I need it to stick. No, it's not scuba. Let me get it for you so you can see. So I don't know if you can tell what kind of material this is, but it's like a very thick, ooh, this price tag. It's like a very thick, like, it's not spandex. It's, let me see if it has a name in here. It's like it's the name, what it has, the combination of the fabric is viscose, nylon, polyester, and elastane. But it's 62%, but it's like this very thick. So I want to make this skirt that we're making today, I want to make it out of this material. Yes, I want to make it out of this material, and I will. So I'm trying to think, it's a name for that material. I just can't think of it. You say you tried it once, the zipper tape, and you don't like it. Yeah, that is. It's very, it's like, I mean, it boom, 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 sucks you in. Like nothing is going anywhere. Yes, the visco was 62%. So I think that's what's making it too. Making it like that also. So the zipper tape, I actually do like it. I don't use it. I should use it every time. And I said I was going to start using it every time because it definitely makes it easier. Because as soon as you put this on, so you put the zipper tape on, you put the little piece of strip of tape on it, and then you kind of scratch it down. Like last time I used my seam ripper to kind of just, you want to scratch it down so that you can peel off the top of it. So once you kind of scratch it down, at that point, you're kind of getting it really stuck to the fabric, and then you peel off the top part of it. And then it's like it's just like a clear strip. So this is the part that you're peeling off, which leaves the little sticky part on. And where's what I do with my zipper? Oh, here it is. And then I'm just going to press my zipper down because it's, as you know, it was folded up in that little package. So I'm just going to press it without melting the... Well, that was fast. This irons so well. Okay, so once you peel it off, then you basically stick your zipper right down on it. So I'm peeling one side off at a time just to make sure that it doesn't get too, even though, like I said, when you first put it on, you can, if you don't like the way it is, you can take it off. It will come off. But it is very sticky, but like I said, you can take it off. And then I'm gonna peel. So now I got one side down. Now I'm just gonna peel the other side away. So here's the other one. And then I'm just gonna press the other side down. And you just make sure it's lined up so that it's right, the zipper is right in the middle. And then I just, take my finger and kind of like finger press it on. And I'm gonna switch out my foot and put my zipper foot on. I got all my commonly used feet right here on my. So did y'all know, I just found out, so I went to the So Much Talent retreat and someone else had a Bernina. Julian, you probably know this. Someone else had a Bernina. I think they had like a 500 or 500 series. And their Bernina, the case with all the zipper feet in it, actually fits right on their machine. I came back home like, because I didn't take mine. And I was like, because I know mine has to fit on there. And of course it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't fit on there. But I was like, wow. It really doesn't fit. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a perfect example. So I put mine on here, and as you can see, I feel like even though it has facing on it, my zipper is up too high. So I want my zipper to be down a little bit lower than this. So I'm actually gonna take it off, and it will come off. I'm gonna take it off and I'm gonna put it back on again because I want my zipper to be lower because it's supposed to be an invisible zipper. And this thing is trying to make a liar out of me. Okay, it is coming off. I was like, why are you not coming off? Okay, it is coming off. Okay, so I'm gonna put it down a little bit lower just so that my my zipper is not totally exposed in there. Okay, I feel like that's better. No, you know what? I am a little bit. I am using colors more. I am. Now, if they would have had a black in this, I would have totally got it. So when I do use colors, I try to use like, you know, these kind of colors. Navy blues, burgundies, mustards, burnt orange. Like that's my vibe totally. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, black is still number one. Don't get it twisted. No, I mean too high, like up, the zipper part up. It was up too high. So I wanted it to be lower. I want it to be lower. So when this part is cut, and there's a facing that's going on this top, so you really won't be able to see the zipper. It'll just be this little piece that'll be exposed. Once the facing goes on, I just want it to be like that, if that makes sense. So I'll cut this off at the end. Okay, so I got it on. You said the blue works. I know. Yeah, look, I did this for you, Aisha. This blue. Okay, so once this is on, then the next thing you can do is you can cut your, you can seam rip your stitching that you have in the middle. Just be careful. Don't cut your do not cut your fabric. There we go. This is one of those times where it's probably good to not use a color that is the same color as your fabric, because this color that I use for my thread is like identical to my fabric. There we go. So I'm just now ripping my thread. And then I'm going to unzip my zipper and really stitch it down. Because that tape is going to keep it in place. And it's going to keep it in place like really, really well. So I'm going to be able to open it up and get really close. So it's pretty much going to look just like this, you know, once I do it, once I open it up. You said you're going to let me be great. Yes, it would do it. There are more colors than black. There are. But I love me some black. Let me tell you, I got enough black dresses. If you could see my closet, it's just blackety, blackety, black. I love me a good black dress. Love it. Yeah, I have to definitely be careful with this fabric because it is, I don't want to get any kind of, I don't want to get any snags in it. I bought a new seam ripper today. It's like, I mean, I feel like I shouldn't have to struggle so much to cut through thread. Yeah, see, even this one is working better than the one I just had. All right, I'm almost done seam ripping this. I almost feel like this tape is strong enough where you don't even need to stitch it down. I mean, you do, but it definitely holds it on there. You would think it's already stitched. So this is like one of those times where it's really good that you can lift it up a little bit, because like I feel like it's too close to the one to the edge. And now I'm just going to move it over just a little bit on this one side. All right, a couple more stitches out, and then I'm going to start permanently stitching it in. Okay. See what I mean by how good this tape is? It's on there, and I haven't even stitched it down yet. Once I stitch it down, it's going to be completely... I'm just having to open it up just a little bit so I can see the stitches. All right. I feel like that's good. Yep. Okay, that's good. So now that I've done that, I'm opening it up, and I'm literally gonna stitch on my seam allowance. I'm gonna stitch the zipper down. And I'm actually gonna just open it up just a little bit more because I wanna go a little bit further down. Okay, there we go. All right, now it's time to stitch the zipper down. So I'm gonna open up those teeth. And I'm gonna stitch right inside that groove. And it's gonna get that zipper so close. I'm gonna be so excited about that. I put a zipper on the other day with a regular edge foot. Anybody ever do that? I was rushing and I was like, I need to put this zipper on. Oh shit, shoot. Gotta change my foot. here we go. All right, one side in. And I always like to check and make sure before I sew the other side on that it's going to zip in. So if I need to take out some stitches or anything like that, I could do it. Yep, it went out perfect. So that's one side done. Now I'm going to do the other side. Same way. Oh, that's what I did. And again, I'm just sewing this on the seam allowance. I don't like this. Let me do it this way. Oops. All right. Make sure the zipper is. Take off these little. You also got to make sure you take out any of those loose threads because they will get stuck in your zipper from when you seam ripped it, the basting stitch. Perfect. Look at that. Boom. Perfect. So now I'm just going to put in a regular stitch for the rest of this zipper, which doesn't matter because it's not going to be exposed. I'm just stitching it down. Some people do that little fancy trick and cut it off. I'm not doing that. At least not until I make sure this skirt fits, because I'm keeping all my seam allowance until I know for sure that the skirt is fitting. Because you never know what you might have to take out. All right, so zipper is in, and then the next step is on to stitching the front to the back. So we put the zipper in, this is the back, and oh, it's got a little bit. Oh, I might get closer in there. To see that when it's close, but I want it to be closer. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Tamanica. Hi, welcome. Hi, Cynthia. So yeah, so I can fix that later. Anyway, we're going to stitch the front to the back at the side. So this is the back and right sides together. And now we're going to take that front piece that we already put together. Here it is, the front, and we're going to pin them and stitch it at the sides. I got to find a date where we can do the jacket to this, because you need the jacket. The jacket is definitely something that I will, I'll probably end up finishing the jacket to this and then end up doing it in another fabric when I do it on live. But we got to find a date. All right, one side pin, and now we're going to pin the other side. And then once I pin this, I'm going to just try it on again. I'm just going to try it on before we put the facing on. Just to do, again, another little check. I did do a check earlier. I pinned it together and tied, but I want to make sure, like, do I need to take out some seam allowance? Do I need to, do I need to do anything? I will tell you, so that I wore the other day this gray antique simplicity dress that I had made back in October of last year. Well, I needed to, luckily I retained the seam allowance. And I mean, I had like 2 inches. I needed it. Well, not all 2 inches. I needed some of it to be able to fit it, because your girl had a great summer. Put it like that. I had a great summer. I was leaving, oh, let me change my foot. I was leaving nothing on the table, literally. Tamanica. Okay, I'm gonna get it. Tamanica. I'm gonna get it. 3rd time is the charm. Or I'm gonna call you Tam, if that's what you prefer. If you like Tamanica, which I'm sure you do because it's your name, then I will definitely call you that. Tendi. Okay, so we are We're stitching up the sides of the skirt. And then we are putting on the facing. But I do want to try it on just, you know, just to check. Do a little check. This skirt is not meant to be like super tight. It's meant to have like a little bit of a loose, not loose, but not tight. It's not supposed to be like form fitting throughout. It's supposed to have like a, you know, a straight fit, if you know what I mean. Okay, one side down. One side to go. Does anyone remember when you are serging, which threads do you need to change if you want the thread to match your fabric? Does anybody remember? Like, so you don't have to change all 4 of them. Okay, have fun, Aisha. Have fun for us. It's Labor Day weekend, so y'all need to be getting your life this weekend. This is like the last official into the summer. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna do a little quick check, and I'll be right back. Making sure this fits. If it does, then we'll move to the facing. Okay. So it does fit. It's got the fit that it's supposed to have, which is a little bit of a loose fit, not supposed to be super tight. So it's fit. So my measurements worked out perfectly. Okay, so we're gonna next, I'm gonna take it off. We're gonna put the facing on. There is facing at the top. And are we doing the facing at the bottom? No, we're doing the facing at the top, and then we're gonna work on the fringe. So I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Okay, zipper in. It fit great. And now we're going to work on the facing. So this is another one of those areas where I'm going to need y'all to say a little extra prayers, because just like I made those adjustments, I had to make adjustments to the facings as well, both at the top and the bottom. So let me see. So that is all the, okay, I think, here we go. Here is our facing. So front and back facing. So the steps say, I've already interfaced the facing. It's already interfaced with a woven interfacing. And so let me see, this is the front facing. Both of them were done on the fold. I added my seam allowance. I added my extra, see my little extra piece to account, and I added it on, yes, it's on both sides. Okay. So I need to do a quick marking on here just to make sure that everything is going to line up. Then same thing on the other side, because the steps basically tell us to stitch the front and back facings together at the sides. So we do need to match them up. So that's the front. Just going to put number 11 on here. And then this is number 12, which is 2 pieces. I'm just transferring these markings over. And this is 12. Okay. So now we're going to stitch the front and the backs at the sides. So right sides together. So this is going to go right here. I'll pin this. And before I stitch it on, I am going to kind of do like a mock, let me make sure it fits kind of thing. That's funny. This fits like that. Does that fit? Okay, it does. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to, you said left needle thread matches the fabric. Okay, left needle thread. I need to write that. Left. I wrote it down somewhere and I can't remember where I wrote it. Left needle thread serger. Thank you. Because I brought some serger thread and they only had one. And I was like, you know what? I only need one. Okay. So here we go. This is the front. And what I'm doing is kind of doing a little bit of a, let me make sure this fits kind of situation. Oh yeah, it's more than fits. Oh, this more than fits. Okay. Or actually, you know what? It does fit, but let me just, because the front is the front and the side. Front. Which the front is a little bit short, but so it's not going to match up exactly, but the back will make up for it. And so this needs to be a little bit, again, I'm just mock pinning this to simulate what it's going to be like before I spend all that time stitching it together and it doesn't fit. I want to make sure. So I am just, okay, that's going to work out basically perfectly. Oh, let's hope. Fingers crossed. This is looking really good. Yeah, I feel like, you know, again, the easier way to do it would have been to have the right pattern. But I was like, I'm not buying a $20-something pattern. How much is this pattern? $21.95. That was what was not going to happen. Okay, so what I realized is that the front is a little bit short, but the back will fit. So the whole thing as a whole is going to fit. The front is just a little bit short. The front facing piece, I should say. So a couple things I can do is I can make my seam allowances. So a couple of options that I have, since I know this going into it, is one, I could shorten my seam allowances a little bit. So instead of doing 5/8, I could do a half or 3/8, and that actually probably would be do the trick for the front. Or I do have a little bit of room in the top, so the top is it's loose, but it could be a little bit tighter and still be loose. So I could make my dart a little bit bigger in the front, and that will shrink it enough because it's just it's a very small, like, as you can see right here, it's just a little bit. It's just a little bit. Yeah, it's just a very little bit. It's not much at all. It's probably like what I would call like maybe like 2 finger breaths. It's like such a small part. So I think the easier thing to do is to just maybe make my seam allowances, do like 3/8 seam allowance. And I think that will get me really close on the facing to match. Again, this would not be an issue if I didn't do some self-drafting in there that I needed to do to make sure I could fit this. The worst thing for me is to do sew an entire garment and not be able to fit it. Like, that is so devastating to me. Hi, Miss Alethea, welcome. That's like the worst thing I want to ever do. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stick with like a 3/8 seam allowance on these, and I think that's gonna get me exactly where I need to be. Again, will not be an issue if you use the right size that you're supposed to use for your body. Because hi Dee, welcome. Welcome, thank you for joining. Because I had a very happy, what I'm going to call a happy summer, I'm in between sizes, and I have definitely, I'm not fitting the same pattern sizes that I fit before. So I have to double check every time I sew, which I guess is good practice anyway, to make sure that, you know exactly, you don't waste your time sewing something that you ultimately cannot fit, which again is, to me, like worst case scenario. So until I, get back to my pre-summer size, I might have to be doing this, like manually adjusting my patterns. unless I go out and buy new sizes, which, by the way, is something that I have been doing recently. I've been buying both the smaller size and the larger size, particularly when it's a woven, because, you know, you don't have that flexibility. You don't have that. So I'm pressing this out, and I think we're gonna be attaching this facing, and then we are moving on to the never done before territory, which is the fringe. The fringe. So we will see. So the fringe, I'm just going to talk about it because, again, you can never talk about it too much if you're not familiar with it. So they had me cut this separate fabric. Where is it? Oh, right here. And it is, and I've seen this on some of the Instagram videos where you basically are right sides together, sewing these pieces together to make like a circle, and then you're going to cut it so that you're creating this like bias tape type of thing. And then you're going to cut those pieces. So that's what we'll be doing next once we put this. And we'll be using that to create fringe. So there's no interfacing on it. I did not serge the edges because obviously that is what you do when you don't want fringe. Ooh. Come on, flatten out. No, I guess it's too hot. I must have made it too hot. So while I was at the store today, you said you always check your measurements when you sew something. So do you, Miss Alethea, do you end up having to make adjustments to your patterns like every time you sew? Well, I guess I shouldn't ask you that because I'll use myself, for example. Lately, I've had to make adjustments to my patterns to make sure that whatever I spent my time sewing, that I can actually fit it. That's been what I've been doing the last few weeks since I've come back from my hiatus. The first thing that I sewed, I couldn't fit. So that was like my sign right there, like, oh, you had a great time while you were gone. And my weight was pretty stable all the way up until the summer. So I had gotten comfortable with, oh, I know my pattern size. Okay, so now we're gonna stick this on, and I am unzipping the zipper. Chanel style fringes. Is that what these are called, or are you saying that's what you've done before, Peach? All right, so far so good. I'm just pinning this. I'm excited about doing these fringes. I'm excited about it. Like I said, I've seen this video before on Instagram, but I have not done it. Like how to create the bias tape video, which is what we're going to be doing. Which is interesting that they have us doing it this way because the requirement was to cut this whole thing on the bias. So the fact that we cut it on the bias and now we are creating bias tape, which I thought was what you do when you didn't have something cut on the bias. Well, anyway, we're going to follow these instructions exactly as it is. You said that's what they are. Thank you, Peach. I appreciate you. Look, if you see me doing this kind of creating these fringes, it's because I've fallen in love with the whole concept. Okay. So this got me, just so that you know, so I stitched the facing at 3/8, a little bit extra on this end, but a teeny tiny bit short. I think I can, yeah, I think I can actually maneuver this. This is good because I wanted those seams to all line up. So I think we're good. You said, yes, however, I rarely see the same pattern, but each company fits differently. Right. So that's the other part. Each company does. So you have to check for that as well. Okay. Yeah, so no, that part you said about each company is another true thing too. That definitely is my experience. Although this time around, it's because I was really happy this summer. I did a lot of eating. But I am definitely going to lose it. Look, I feel like between April and August, I like gained 3 inches around my waist, which is a lot for that little bit of time. But I'm also saying, okay, if it took me, 3, 4 months to put it on, it's going to take me that much time to get it off. And so, okay, I'm here for it. I'm going to be patient with myself. Right, exactly. That's what I call it. Being happy. Being happy. Okay. So I am going to, now I got this all pinned around. So it's right sides together. This is my facing right here. This is my fabric. And now I'm going to stitch this on. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, you know what it tells me to do? It tells me that I need to finish my lower edge. And so I'm not going to finish it because I serged it and it has a very finished look, that finished to me. So I am actually not going to finish that because I have it serged on the other side. So, and I cut my facing down really low so you can't really see it. And I guess you can see it a little bit, but I'll trim it. Anyway, it has the serging at the end. And I used the serger. I changed my thread to match this so that you can really see it that well. So I'm not going to finish it. So I am skipping that step, but it tells you to finish the bottom edge. So when you have your facing turned over to the inside, that bottom part is not just the raw edge of your fabric, it is finished. And like I said, because if you do use the jacquard fabric, you will want to serge or do something to finish it because it does fray quite a bit. Is my experience anyway. All right, so here we go. We are opening out the zipper. So that's the other thing you have to do is you do need to open out the zipper. So technically it's folded this way. This is your zipper teeth. You want to open it out when you're connecting the facing. And so that's what we're doing now. And I'm going to stitch this at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm a huge fan of facing. I like facing a lot, even though it's like extra step. I like it because I love the way your garment looks with facing. You do have to understitch this, by the way. That's another step in here. You do want to understitch so that your facing will, so that your garment lays the right way around that waist. So let me see, is it telling me to understitch? Okay, so it's telling me to understitch last after I stitch down the sides of the zipper. So while I was at the Joann's today, I did end up buying this this iron cleaner, hot iron cleaner. I had bought some from Amazon, but it works really good to clean your iron, because whether it's interfacing on my iron or the fusing tape, or because I overheat my iron and some of the fabric gets stuck on the back of the iron, melts on the back of my iron. I have those issues intermittently, and so I need to regularly clean my iron. So I bought some of that today, and as you can see, I had that issue just happen to me where my iron was too hot. So this one is a different brand than I usually buy. So I'm gonna see, hopefully it works the same, just as good. All right, now I'm going to stitch down the side of the zipper, getting as close as I can to my zipper teeth without actually going into my zipper teeth. All right, and then I'm gonna cut this off when I find my scissors. Here we go. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, I'm missing these comments. Sorry. Thank you, Peach. This is, I think I said it, but you may not have been on. Jacquard fabric, but it's a lightweight, because I've used jacquard before to make stuff, and this is very flexible. It feels, you know, but it is jacquard, and I got it from Fabric Wholesale Direct, or I think that's what it's called, Fabric Wholesale Direct. But thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Yes, look, I'm all about 100% about self-care, and being kind to myself, because if I'm not going to do it, no one else is. That is the truth. So I'm always going to promote, you know, be nice to yourself. But you know what? I guess I should, before I cut this totally, I should understitch it, because it'll be easier when you have more fabric to understitch. Then I need to do this side. All right, and I'm just going to cut off this excess, and then I'm going to understitch. And then I'll probably cut some more. I don't want to cut too much because, like I said, I did serge it. And okay, so now time to understitch. So I'm stitching the seam allowance right here onto my facing, basically like that. And I have my edge foot in, which makes it so much easier to understitch. But this is looking really good. I'm really loving the way it's coming out. Understitching is one of those tricky things because you got to literally stretch this fabric out and make sure that your seam allowance stays, that doesn't like crumple underneath. And you got to stay in a straight line. The good news is that if you get it wrong, no one sees it, but, well, they shouldn't see it. So far, so good. These seams lined up so good. I can't wait to show it to you. I'm very proud of this. Very. Oh, hi, Angie. Welcome. Oh, somebody has comments. Okay, so we are doing, and I thank you for asking because I haven't said it in a while. We're doing McCalls 8370, and we're doing view B, which is just the skirt. We will do the top at some point or the jacket at some point, but we are doing just the skirt today. And so what we have done up to this point is and let me just say this so that you all can see this too. 8370, just the skirt. Yes, 8370. Thank you. And so, so one thing I need to do is I want to get this closer. You can see I didn't put it close enough, so I'm going to do it a little bit closer so that it just this is in there. So I'm going to go a little bit closer in there, but I want to show you this. And let me see how this one turned out. Oh yeah, I have to do the same thing on this side. So even though you won't see it, this is the inside, this is the outside. You won't see it. I like it to be neat. Anyway, I just got to show you this. Look at that. That seam is looking amazing. Boom, boom. And on the other side, same thing. Seam is perfectly lined up, one across, one across. You can see that. That's just a perfect line. Perfect. Okay, so the next step is really to press it. And let me just show you how it looks zipped up, so you can see that even though there's a little bit of the extra of the zipper showing, it is on the inside. So technically, I don't have to do anything with it because you don't see it from the outside. And once I push out, I got to use my point turner to push out those edges so that the zipper is completely, you know, lined up right here. But let's see. But you can see. Let me just hold it back. Maybe you can see it better. There we go. So I'm going to press it. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It looks really good up to this point. So we are now at the point where we're going to add our fringe. But before we do that, I'm just going to press this. Let's see. I love how understitching makes pressing so simple. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So understitching again is one of those things I have a love-hate relationship with. I love the way I'm not gonna say I hate doing it. Hate is a very strong word. I love the way it makes your finished garment look. So every time I think about skipping it, and I do think about skipping it, I don't, because I'm very happy with the results of how it makes, even if you have like little mistakes or it's not perfect, as I would like to say, it still doesn't look bad. Where's my water? Oh, I always get dehydrated when I'm sewing. I pull out all this water that I tell myself I'm going to drink while I'm sewing for these hours, and I never drink it. Or I take little sips. I'm just putting water in my iron too. All right, here we go. Yeah, that's just perfect. I need to use my edge turner, this little pointer thing, to push out these points. All right, there we go. And now I'm just going to press this side. Same. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that just looks so great. Okay, so I'm getting ready to push this to the side, and I will give it a real good press, you know, later, but I just wanted to lay this down. And we're going to take out, put this to the side. So here we've done all of this so far. Boom. The basis of the skirt is done. I'm going to move it over here, and we're going to start working with this piece of bias tape that we have. All right. And so it is telling us again, right sides together. And then we're going to put the right sides together, but it also tells us to, oh, you know what I need to do? It tells us to align the notches. So I am going to just transfer this notch with a piece of chalk. Okay, one down, and here's the other one. Well, that ain't matching up. Let me see. Is this the right side? Nope, I think I did the right side to the wrong side. Oh, all right. I guess I did do them right. So it says that right sides together. It says they're not going to be, edges will not be even. So, okay. Oh, all right. So this is the way it's supposed to be. So anyway, you match up your notches, and it tells you in the instructions that the edges won't align evenly. So I'm just going to lay this on my chest so you can kind of see what I mean. That when you match up those notches, you're going to have a little bit of extra up here, and you're going to have a little bit of extra down here. So a little bit of extra down this bottom part, and a little bit of extra at this top part. So I'm going to basically pin those together, matching up those notches. I'm going to pin it. And then it says starting at one end, extending to the other, I'm going to cut. So the other thing I need to do, which I didn't do, is on this pattern piece, you'll see that there are lines on this pattern piece. And I did not transfer those lines either, which is much harder to do, as you can see on this fabric. So I do have, as you saw, some transfer paper, but I have something that I think is a little bit quicker, and maybe quicker, easier, but maybe not quicker. So let me try to do with this white paper and see if this helps. I bought a chalk stick, but I don't know whether it will transfer on here or not. So I'm going to use this paper because this will be quicker. It will be quicker to transfer this. Because I'll be able to do three. Oh, I actually will be able to do all the lines at one time. So that'll make it easier. That'll make it quicker. Let me just, before I do three lines, I'm just going to make sure this actually transfers. And it does. And it does transfer. So I'm just about to move this. Move this and make it, this will make it a little bit easier. Because that thing is so, it's a little on the fluffy side. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, that's much better. Now let me do this one again. Okay. They're not perfect, but they're perfect enough. There we go. All right, so we transferred all of the markings over. Putting this away and putting this away, and then we're gonna right sides together. Match these notches. Which is much more difficult to do than it looks. Where is this one? So this matched to this. Is that how it's supposed to be? Yep, okay. So I'm just going to pin this and then I'm going to stitch it. And then we're going to cut. And that will give us our strip. All right. We now have our strip, and I'm just going to press this open. Okay. Move this over, and I'm going to open this back. I do not want to mess up my big mat. And I'm pressing. We're going to press this open, and then we're going to cut these strips. Hopefully my all right, here we go. And here's my scissors, and we're going to cut this open. And let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. So it says, starting at one end, extending and cut along the solid line. All right, I'm going to cut starting at this one. These lines aren't 100% perfect, but I think they'll be good enough. So far, so good. We're going to have a skinny fringe. One of these is going to be a little skinny. We might have to make some more, but we'll see. I don't like the way this one is a little too wide. All right. Hopefully we don't have an issue. And then it tells us to cut off the edges so that you have a straight line on each end. So I'm going to do that. And that is, it says don't remove the threads yet from the fringe until the, oh, this is for the jacket. Okay, so let me see. So that's the fringe. So you have the same instructions for the jacket too, because there's fringe on the jacket and on the skirt. So let me see. We did the, so where is it? Okay, so it says, where is it telling us to put the fringe on? Says, let's see. My eyes are watering. Okay, so then it says, okay, with right sides together, pin the fringe to the front opening edges and lower edge of the skirt, having one long edge over the 5/8 inch seam allowance and ends even with the dots and then base. Okay, so fingers crossed that we have enough fringe that it's going to go all the way. We don't know. So it says we are pinning this. It says right sides together. So we're pinning this in the seam allowance. So let me see, where is this? Is this 5/8 of an inch? I feel like this is much larger than that. It is. These are an inch. Each one of these are an inch. So 4 inches of, oh, so that's about an inch. Okay, so anyway, right sides together, I am starting to pin. Please cross your fingers that this is going to make it all the way around this skirt, because we do not want to make more fringe. So we are pinning the fringe to the front long edge, and it has a picture. Basically, it's all the way around the skirt. So I am just pinning this. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate it. I still don't know how this is actually going to work. And then it says baste stitch it on, which we're going to be doing once we pin all this on. If for some reason there's not enough fringe to do this whole thing, so part of me is like, let me just estimate it real quick, just to see, does it go all the way around? I feel like it's enough. Feels like it's way more than enough. Oh, so this must be enough to do the jacket and the, oh yeah, this is way more than enough. Okay. I was going to say, if I don't have enough, then we'll just don't do the split, but this is way more than enough. So I'm just pinning, pinning, pinning. Right sides together, this fringe. And then it says the next step is to pin the, so the fringe is the last thing I guess that we're doing. I mean, in terms of picking those pieces, pulling those pieces apart, we're just attaching it, because the very next thing that we're doing is we are putting on the skirt facing. So there's facing, just like how we put facing at the top, we put facing at the bottom. And that's actually the very last step, is to put the facing on and then I guess pick this fringe apart. So we are very close. Let me see where we at. Oh, we are just at 2 hours. So we are making great time with this skirt. We are making really good time. I am so excited about how this final skirt is. I mean, already, I love it already so much. And with this fringe, and then I still got to figure out how we use this, um, this ribbon, where that goes in this whole grand scheme of things. All right, last little piece that we are pinning on here. And all right, I'm about to do this basting stitch, and then the very next step is we are going to put together the bottom facing for this skirt. All right, so here we go. Basting, it says, let's see, having one long edge, okay, over the 5/8 seam allowance and ends even with dots, and then we're gonna baste. So the basting stitch appears to be like right in the middle. I'm gonna do it closer to the bottom edge. Not at the edge, but closer. Or actually, oh, you know what? Let me see. Okay, I'm going to do it at 3/8 seam allowance. That's where I'll stitch. Oh, and we're going to do a basting stitch. So I'm moving that to 5. Hi, Miss Maddie. Welcome. Thank you for joining. We are working on McCall's 8370, the skirt. And right now we are basting the fringe onto the skirt. There's a fringe piece around the bottom of the skirt. And it does appear to go actually up the split line too, I think. Or maybe not. Maybe that's just the ribbon. So I'm just basting it on, and then the next thing we're going to do is put on the facing. So I'm just basting this on at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I have a question for those that are on. How often do you like change out your pins? I'm finding that, I'm a year in. Most of these pins that I have, in fact, if not all of them, I brought when I first started sewing a little over a year ago. And now I'm seeing that they are getting dull, a little difficult to stick in my garment. So today, another thing I bought was all new pins. So I'm thinking about getting rid of all these pins because, or at least start to circle out ones that don't work anymore, that are, difficult to stick into my garment, which is more and more of them. Each time I sew, I feel like I get more. Ooh, something got. Ooh. Had a needle, a pen under there. All right, almost done. Basically. Almost done. Ooh. All right, so I basted this on. This is how it looks. Basted on. It's just like a little border all the way around, and so it's right sides together. You can see. And so I'm going to cut this excess off because there is definitely a whole bunch left. And my thought is that is probably it's probably meant for the jacket too. So they had you create one piece that was for the jacket and for the skirt. Okay, so got this on, and now the next step is to deal with the facing. So there's a bottom facing and there's a top facing. And so here are my bottom facing pieces, which I have high confidence that they're going to fit well, unlike the top pieces, because I was able to measure those out. But again, with that said, anything can happen. But I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Okay, so here's my pieces. Let's see. So it says to take piece 14, which is the lower right front facing and the lower left front facing. So this is the lower left and the lower right. Okay, so here's the lower right. Here we go, and the lower left, and it's telling us to right sides together to pin those pieces. Or let me make sure. It says pin lower right facing to lower left facing matching dots and stitch from the upper edge to the dot. So I'm thinking this must be the part that is going around. This must be the part that is going around the split in the garment. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this, but then I'm going to also match it up, because why would I spend time again doing it when I want to make sure that it will match really well with it. So this is going to go here, down this way. This is going to go here. No. Oh, here we go. Wrong way. So this will go this way, and this will go this way. Okay, so this does go around to here really well. It actually goes a little bit past it. All right, let me see. So what I'm doing is I am just, because again, I had to make some adjustments to this to make it fit me. So I just want to make sure that the facing also fits. I did do a kind of a manual check before I started, and it was pretty good, but again, I'm just doing a double check. So this one it's just a teeny tiny bit, which is probably just a seam allowance worth. So this is good. This is over a little bit on the left lower. It looks like it might be too big, so I might need to cut this one down. And then let me just check the back. So that is going there. And then here's my back piece. And the back piece is, so that's going to go like that. And this one is going to go from here all the way to here. So the back piece fits pretty much perfectly. And then this front piece is a little over. So I might have to cut this front piece a little bit, but we'll see. I'll serge it at the end if I do need to cut it. But I think we're in pretty good shape. We are in pretty good shape. Okay. So next step is to, let's see what it says. It says take piece number 13. So here's piece number 14. And I'm just going to transfer these dots over. And So this is 14. This is that dot. And then I'm taking, this is piece number 15, piece number 13, and I'm going to transfer this dot. All right. So it tells us to line these dots up. So basically right sides facing. So these two pieces, they look like two L's, a longer L, 13 is the longer L, and 14 is the shorter L. And you have a dot right here on each of them. And it's telling you to basically line those, match those dots, and then stitch from the upper edge to the dot. So basically here to here. So I'm going to do that right now. And I'm actually going to do it right in the seam allowance. Right, I'm going to do at 5/8 seam allowance. So I'm stitching from that upper edge to the dot. And I'm going to back stitch too. Oops, I got to take it back to my 2.5. So I got to do that again. All right, there we go. And then it says pin the lower back facing 15 to the right front facing and lower left front facing. So here's that front part. And now we are pinning this bottom to that. And let me just see if there are any markings that I need to transfer, which there does appear to be. So let me just transfer those now. Do the same thing on this side. Okay. I'll just write 15 on there. All right, so I am pinning 15. So again, right sides together. And I am pinning, and I'm pinning this, but like I said, I might need to serge this one end of this one. I might need to serge that a little bit to make that fit. In fact, so I'm going to pin it and then I'm going to mark it. And then I will serge it before I pin it to the skirt. I mean, before I sew it to the skirt, sorry. And so this fits. Let me just, I'm not going to stitch the whole thing. I'm not going to pin the whole thing because we just did that. But I just want to take a measurement of where I need to cut this. Okay, I think I need to cut this. Right? I need my seam allowance. I need to cut it right here. So I'm just measuring. Do it right there. All right. So I'm just going to take this out and serge this really quick, this piece. And all right, and so now I'm going to pin this back, and then we're going to stitch. So it says finish unnotched edges, which we're not going to do because we have serged them all, and they're going to be facing towards the inside, so I'm not serging them. And then it says with right sides together, pin facing to front. So does it have a stitch it? It says pin lower back facing 15 to lower front facing at sides matching notches. Finish unnotched edges with a finish unnotched edges of facing with a zigzag stitch. It doesn't, so it's interesting. It doesn't tell us to stitch it together, but the picture shows that it's stitched together. So I'm going to stitch it together at the edges because all of the subsequent pictures have it all stitched together. So right sides together. I am going to stitch this. So I'm basically just stitching 15 to 13 and 14 on each side. Creating like a full circle. And I did cut off again a little bit of that piece number 14 to make it all fit perfectly with the seams. So now what I'm doing is I am now pinning with right sides together. I'm pinning the facing to the front. So I have my skirt on the right side and I am now pinning the facing to the front or all the way around. Pin facing to the front, opening edges of the lower edge of the skirt, matching notches, dot center backs and side seams. Stitch the lower edge and front opening edges, breaking stitching at dots, and then trim the seams. Okay, so we're basically pinning this entire thing around is what we're doing. So that's what I'm going to do, and then we're going to stitch around. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the top facing, which is, does it tell us to understitch it? It does. It tells us to understitch, and then it says turn facing to the inside, turning fringe out, press, tack, and tack facing to the seams. Oh, okay, I get it now. So when we turn this facing to the inside, that little piece of fringe that is sandwiched in between, we're going to basically make it so that it's hanging down. It's going to hang. So instead of it, like if it's sandwiched, let me show you an example. So like the facing is like this, and then it's like kind of sandwiched in between both. And then when you turn the facing to the inside, it's going to basically, the fringe is going to hang off the side like that. So the facing is going to be turned to the inside. The fringe, instead of it being up like this, it's now going to be turned off. It's going to be like hanging off. And then I guess at that point is where we start to pick the, I guess that's where we start to like pick the fringe pieces off so that it starts to be fringe. Because right now we haven't picked anything. All right, we down to the last little bit. And then does it tell us to, okay, so the finishing. So the other thing which we're not going to do on here is there are some buttons. These buttons, so there's 4 buttons, which I am going to add the buttons, but I'm not going to do them on live. They are 100% decorative, so you don't have to add them. I have some gold buttons that I think I'm going to use, but I'm conflicted as to which ones I will use. But I have like 3 different gold, and I just need to figure out which ones I like the best. But I will be doing them, but off live, because again, they're 100% decorative. They do not do they're not functional at all. And, for this, because you have that extra piece, as much as I was like, oh, I'm not cutting any of the edges because, the, what do you call it? This fabric will fray. There's a lot of bulk in here. And I almost feel like it's not going to turn right if I don't, I'm just making this fit right. It's not gonna lay flat. So I think I might have to actually cut the bulk after I understitch this. I'm excited to see how this whole fray thing is gonna work. Is it gonna be enough or too much or what? All right, I feel like that little extra cut that I did is just enough to make it work. Thank you, Sonia. So I am making McCalls 8730, which is this pattern, and I'm doing view B, which is the skirt. And we are really close to finished. At this point, we have put the skirt together. We've added the piece of that will be the fringe. And now we are putting on the facing. So there's facing at the bottom. And then there are some finishing pieces, which I won't be doing on live. Once I finish putting the facing on and plucking out the fringe, I'll try it on so that everyone can see. But there is another piece that I would need to do, which is there's a ribbon that goes around the jacket. Around the skirt. I need to figure out how to put that on. And then there's buttons that are 100% decorative. So I'll be putting those on, but not on lives. But I'll post a picture, on my social medias account with it on. So this is completely pinned. I'm excited to say that that little cut that I made earlier worked perfectly because it did fit. It did line up, so I'm happy about that. Just making one more adjustment here. Just a little adjustment. Where's my seam ripper? Okay, here we go. I definitely love having my seams when I got to match. I like to make sure I stitch them down open. It makes it so much easier to put a pin through the whole seam and match them up. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's lined up. And This is lined up. Okay, that's that. Just making sure this is all lined up. Okay, I think we are all good to go. Everything's all lined up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to do my stitch around this entire piece, and I'm going to stitch it at 5/8. All right, here we go. Here goes nothing. Oh, wrong side. Starting on the other side. So I can make one complete circle. We are almost there. All right. We are almost there. Just stitching this facing on. Go. Down to the last little section. Okay, so let me just see how this is going to, how this facing is going to turn in the, oh yeah, I see this, how this is going to work. I feel like I could have had a little bit more fringe, but it'll do. Now I need to figure out how this is going to work in the split. I just don't see how it's going to lay, so I might, okay, never mind. I think it's working the way it's supposed to. Okay. So I still need to understitch this, but I just want you to see how it's kind of coming together. I get so oily every time. Okay, let me move that. All right, so for those that were like me and could not visually see how this whole thing was going to play out, here is, now I wish that the fringe was a different color so you could really see it, but you're not going to be able to see it that well because it just blends in so well. But basically, this is the facing, this is the skirt, this is the facing, this is the skirt, and this is going to be, once I press it under, and then I'll pluck this out, and this will be like a little fringe. Now, it is blue on the other side, so maybe once I start plucking it out a little bit, it might look more of this bluish color, which would be great. And I also feel like I shortchanged myself in terms of the fringe. It is really short. It is really short. So I feel like, dang, it could have been a little bit longer in some places. I am not taking the skirt out to make the fringe longer, but I know for the next time that I will likely make the skirt again because it's not difficult to make at all. I mean, we're at 2 hours and 40 minutes. And so this is a lot of steps that I've covered in that little bit of time. As you all know, we've been on for 5 hours doing a skirt, doing things. So this is great timing for this. So I'm going to try to see if I can press it without cutting it. You know, the seams I think are lining up okay, but you can't really tell because again, the facing is on the inside. This one's a little bit off, but again, you can't really tell because the facing is in the way. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Oh, you guess you can tell. It's enough. It's enough where you could tell. But it's on the inside. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to press this and then I'm going to pluck those fringes apart. If it is too bulky at some point, I will likely go in and I'll likely go in and cut some of it out. But I'm hesitant to do it because it's such a small piece. I also do need to understitch too. But before we do all that, I'm going to just press this because I think you will get a really good idea, you and I both, about how it's going to look. But it's turned out great. I'm very happy with how it is turning out at this point. So let me just give this a really good press. And where's my little, here we go. I'm gonna press this really good. And then we are going to, the other thing I need to figure out, which I'm not gonna do on live, but you'll see it in the finished product, is how that ribbon fits on all this. Because I haven't seen the instructions for the ribbon yet. Under pin. Oh, okay. So it is it's actually the next step after this. So, but we'll see if we do it. I'm gonna press this because now if the fringe, I'm gonna see what the fringe looks like. If the fringe doesn't give us any color, I may end up doing this blue. So right now I have a gold, which basically it just flows right into it. This blue is really, it's not the exact color. So that's why I was like, oh, it's a little too much. But I'm like, is it? Is it a little too much? Maybe. Yeah, so what I'm also realizing is that you definitely do need to understitch in order to ensure that fringe stays sticking out the way you want it to. So understitching is going to be important to that. I'm going to try to press it more so you can see. You can get a really good feel for it, but definitely need to understitch, which I can do later. And I might have to cut out some of this bulk because it is a lot of bulk. Because remember, it's also interface on top of everything else. You'll be surprised at how that understitching just really makes the, I mean, I think Rachel said this earlier, and it's true. I could just tell the difference between the top facing and this bottom part where I didn't interface. I didn't understitch yet. It's definitely not laying the same as it was earlier. Okay, so I'm just pressing this down. Yeah, definitely would add more fringe. I mean, leave more out so that it's more showing. Totally love this fringe. Look, it's going to be. Its fabric is already starting to fringe and I haven't even plucked it out yet. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining. We are working on McCalls 8370 and we're doing view B with just a skirt. We will be doing view A at some point. Because it is just a perfect complement to the skirt. And so why wouldn't we do it? Okay. All right, I'm just going to do one more press. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to, I might see if I can find a dark blue ribbon or a brown, but the gold is just way too matchy. I feel it adds nothing. It's almost like, why even put it on kind of situation that it's so, yeah, definitely got to understitch this. Okay. So let me just show you. I'm going to try this on too so you can see. Let me show you this skirt. Oh, I need to pluck these fringes out because it's no fringe. So, I mean, I'm assuming you just kind of, let me see. Does it tell us? It says remove threads from fringe on front openings and lower edge. To remove, pull out fabric thread one at a time up to seam. So normally there's like a piece that you could pull. I have my seam ripper here and I'm just kind of plucking it at the ends to loosen it. This is one of those things where you like throw it in the wash machine and let it, you know, kind of fringe out. Okay, it is fringing. It is doing it. Oh, wow. It looks nice. Okay. I'm going to show you in a minute. It's not adding any color to it, so I definitely think I need to use the blue as opposed to this gold, which just basically, as you can see, it just blends right into the fabric and adds nothing to it, versus this blue, which I think might be too blue. So I feel like if I get a dark, a navy blue, it might be a perfect mix. All right, let me show you this with the fringe. It says what type of fabric? Oh, so I'm using a jacquard fabric. It's a what I would call a lightweight, because I've used other jacquard before and that was much more structured than this. This is very soft, but it does have that same kind of like where it frays very easily. So like here's the fringe that I'm working on right now, the little fringe piece, and it's coming. I'm using my seam ripper to just kind of pick the edges a little bit, and it's coming. It's definitely coming. So I'm not going to pick this whole thing, but you get the, I just want you to be able to see. So yeah, when I do this, when I do the jacket, I mean, I'm not going to have it be too different, but I will definitely leave more fringe out, because I mean, this is not a bad amount of fringe, but I want a little bit more. Just a teeny bit more. It's just such a small amount. Hi, Julian. Welcome back. Thank you for stopping back. We are just about done. I am picking apart the fringe part. Picking apart the fringe. Some things that I still have to do is I need to understitch this bottom part of the seam. And I'm probably going to cut out some of the bulk in the where the facing of the seam allowance of the facing, because it is kind of bulky under there. So when I just try to press it, it just doesn't lay the same way the top lays. And part of that is because I understitched the top and I haven't understitched this part yet. And then I'm going to put the ribbon on, which I will do offline so you'll be able to see it. But because I want to decide whether I'm going to use this or a dark blue, because I feel like this blue is just way, oh, this, you're looking at the wrong side. So I feel like this blue is just way too bright, and I feel like this is just blends right into it, like you almost don't even see it. So I feel like maybe if I get a navy blue, it might be just enough. So the ribbon actually goes, see where this white is. So the ribbon goes there and all around the skirt. And then these buttons here are just for aesthetic, but I will be putting the buttons on too. So, but I just don't want, I was going to use this. I was originally going with this, but I was like, oh, it's, you know, it just blends in so much. I wanted a little bit more of a like something to it. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to get a navy blue, because this blue, although I like it, it's just really a lot for me. And I need it to be not as neutral, but a little bit more neutral. So the navy might be the right vibe. Or if I find like a dark, I don't know. They had this oatmeal color, but they were out of it. So yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to pick all of this, but you get an idea of what it's supposed to look like. I will pick it, but so yeah, so those are the couple of steps that I do have remaining that I'm going to do, but I'm going to try it on so you can see all of what we did in the last, you know, almost 3 hours. We're not quite at 3 hours, which I'm excited about, but you can kind of get a feel. Like I definitely feel like I needed more longer fringe. Definitely. That's just not enough. That little piece. It might show a little bit more might show up when I get the understitching right, but you get a feel for it. Okay, so I'm gonna try it on so you can get a feel for what the skirt looks like, and then we will be doing yeah, I think the navy would be so I do have a cream too. So I did get a cream, and when I matched the cream ribbon, I don't know. I felt like it just didn't match right. I don't know if you could see. The lighting isn't as good. Let me see. If you could see this. Yeah, so the cream is not as good. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can get the lighting right so you can see. It almost looks white compared to this. So this one is the perfect match. If you want matchy matchy, this is it right here. This is like it melts into it. And cream is too light. So this is the cream. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the cream, just so you get a feel. And then this is the blue, just a little bit too blue. So the navy, I think, is going to be perfect because it gives you a little bit of a blue. It's going to be a good contrast to this, but it's not going to like melt into it. So, and then for where we know it's going to go down the center, up, around the split and around. And because our fringe is not as dramatic as I think I wanted it to be, like I think I should have turned this on the wrong side because the other side of this is blue, and I think it would have been a great contrast for the fringe. But it's the instructions are right side together, but I think that blue would have given us like this blue would have given us a nice little texture, something a little different. But they have this fabric in another color, I think in red, and maybe I'll get that for the next time I do it. So anyway, I'm gonna try it on so you can see, and then I will finish it and post the final, picture. I gotta figure out what shirt I'm gonna wear with this. But anyway, I'll be right back. I'm gonna put it on so you can see. Okay. So it fits perfectly the way it's supposed to fit. So again, it's not a tight fitting skirt. It's supposed to be, looser all the way around. So a couple things that I have to do, like I was saying before, you definitely need the ribbon. I mean, the skirt just kind of like, I feel like it just kind of like blends into itself. So when you have that ribbon, it's going to come down this seam right here, and it's going to come around the split. So it's going to accent that split, and then it's going to go all around the bottom of the skirt. So it's going to really give it like an accent. And then I have these buttons. Here's two of the ones. So this one is like a no-go. It's way too bright. This one is a little bit better, but again, it's a little bit too much blending, so yeah, this one's definitely not a go. But this one, I think is the right. It does blend into it, so it doesn't add a whole lot to it, but it's the right color gold. So again, another reason why you really need that blue, because I feel like next to the blue, it will definitely do something. So yeah, this is probably going to be this. I have one other button too. I have another button. I got to figure out what I did with it. So I'm going to match it. But this is probably going to be the one that I'm going to go with as far as buttons. Let me see. Red would be rich. Yeah, so the red is, so they have this basically the same one, except for the blue is like a nice dark red. And then they had another color too. I can't remember what other color it was. But I like the red too, but I've decided to go with the blue because I've been doing a lot of red lately. So yeah, I'm going to definitely do the ribbon. I'll do the ribbon. I'm going to go back and try to see if I can go to another Joann and see if I can find that navy blue that they have. So do the ribbon and then do the buttons. And then I have to do I'm going to do the understitching. And then the directions also call for you to tack the facing, because as you can see, it's kind of falling down, around me. So I'm going to tack it at the seams, and then we'll work on the jacket. So this is perfect. This will be perfect. I have some some nude pumps that I would probably wear this with, and I have some navy blue, but I don't know that it's going to be the right shoe for this. But I really like it. You can't get a really good feel for it right now. And I think I might just put it on my dress form because I don't feel like I could take good pictures without the jacket. So unless I do the jacket, good night, Miss Alethea. Thank you for hanging in there and staying. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I think I might, if I have time, finish the jacket, but I'll definitely post the skirt so that you can see the skirt with the ribbon, with the buttons, and with the bottom fully finished. And also, I know you can't see it, but this with the fringe, I started plucking it out, and you can definitely tell the difference between the plucked out part and the not plucked out part. So I hope some of you try to make it, because it is not a difficult make. It's actually a pretty easy. It's rated as average, but compared to some of the other ones that we've done recently that were average, this is on the easier side in terms of not having a whole lot of difficult things to do, parts to it. I can't speak for the jacket because I've not made the jacket yet, but I will be making the jacket, and then we'll make the jacket on live. So it does have a very little bit of stretch on the bias, but not on the bias. No, it has no stretch. So see, this is on the bias right now, and you can see it has a little bit of stretch on the bias, but this is not on the bias, this piece, and I'm pulling it with all my might, and you see no movement. So it's no stretch except for if you cut on a bias. Here's one that's not understitched, a piece that's not. I'm pulling this like it has no stretch. So yeah, no stretch. So you definitely want to make sure your sizing is right, because if not, you won't be able to fit it. So you definitely, and you want to, for this particular pattern, I'm not gonna say it's cut small, but the sizing is smaller. So in terms of the measurement, there's about 5 inches of ease between, the pattern and I guess built into the pattern. So yeah, and that may not be enough. Like I said, for me, I didn't have a large enough pattern. I would have bought, had I paid attention to the back of this, I would have bought a size 16. I mean, I would have cut a size 18 in this. And between what I added, it probably took me to a size 18. Katrina, I was thinking about navy buttons, and I'm gonna tell you that what I would have to go somewhere that sells trim and buttons so that I can get the right navy, because ordering buttons online, like I ordered some green buttons, and oh my goodness, I ordered like 3 buttons and they're all different. I thought I was picking like very similar shades. They all look completely different. So, but navy would be perfect. The navy buttons would be perfect. So who knows, you know what, as I'm out there looking for the ribbon, and that ribbon is called grosgrain trim. That's what it's called, grosgrain. So it's got those little, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got these little lines in it. So you've seen them on these types of jackets before. It's got those little lines on it. So anyway, as I'm out there looking for that navy, I'm going to try to see if I can find buttons, because that is going to be the right, that's the right vibe for this skirt. I mean, that for the color. So anyway, we are done. Thank you so much for hanging in there with the skirt. I hope someone makes it. If you do make it, please tag me, because I would love to see you make it. And like I said, I will definitely, my goal is to finish this before the weekend is out. I'm going to actually work on it a little bit more tonight. But I've got to go get the ribbon. And before I put those buttons on, I'm going to try to see if I can find some navy buttons, because I think that's going to be the right vibe. Yes, I am definitely going to make the jacket. You said you're going to make it one day. Yeah, you should make it. You should make it. This is pattern number 8370, McCalls 8370. Yeah, I'm going to check Joann. So the one in Columbia in Maryland is a superstore. And so they may have, I didn't check Joann's for the buttons, just because of that experience I had with ordering online. I just said, oh, I'm going to go with these gold buttons. But I am going to check, because I think you're right. The navy blue is probably the vibe to give this the color, give it the boost, the color that it needs. But I think this is something you need the jacket. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do for the shirt, because the shirt has to be a plain shirt. It has to be something that's plain, because as you see, the skirt already has a lot going on. You say you definitely want to try this, at least the blazer. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. The jacket is getting done. So yeah, I'm thinking about a navy. I do have a navy. I have a navy dress shirt in there. I actually have a couple of different ones in there. So I'm going to try it on with it. In fact, I might try it on my dress form. So you gave me a great idea. I think I might put my navy shirt on the dress form with this skirt and put some pictures out like that. That's what I might do. Just so you could get I might do that tonight before it's all, finished, just so everybody can get kind of like a intermediate look while I'm looking for the rest. But yeah, so somebody asked, am I going to make the jacket? Definitely making the jacket. I will probably make the jacket on my own before we make it on live, just because I know my schedule is already out through October. And so it'll probably be, I can't believe it's already out through October and it's just September 1st. I mean, just through the beginning of October. So it'll probably be either the end of October or early November, which seems so far away, golly. But I will definitely be making it, because I want to wear it with this skirt sooner rather than later. And that'll also give me an idea of how long it will take to make it. And who knows, maybe I can make it on a day that's not on the Friday. So maybe another day will get, somebody will need some coverage, and then we can make this jacket together. But yeah, I hope somebody does make it. It's definitely not a difficult. It's not difficult for somebody who has a good amount of experience, or medium amount of experience sewing. So anyway, with that said, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you for hanging in there. Hopefully you gain something from it. Is it true to size? Yes, I would say it is true to size, because I added enough to get me to a size 18 according to this, where my measurements are, and this fits me. So I bought a smaller size, so I did have to add. So yeah, I would say it is true to size according to the measurements that are on here, but the measurements are smaller than some of the other patterns that I have tried, if that makes sense. So as long as you follow the measurements on here, you will get a accurate fit. That's what I would say. You'll get an accurate fit if you follow the measurements on here. But don't go, like, you definitely want to look at the measurements on here and measure yourself and make sure I think you'll be fine. It's a great question, because sometimes you follow the measurements and you're like, nope, that doesn't fit. I added to put me to a size 16, 18, and it fit me. I mean, as you can see, it fit. And it's supposed to have this loose fit. So, it's not supposed to hug you at all. It's supposed to be like straight up and down, which looks probably a little weird now. But once you have the top on with it and the heels, I can already, envision it. It's going to look good. Good question. Any other questions or thoughts? Anybody plan on making it? I know, Sonia, you said you plan on making it. Anybody else plan on making it? Please tag me. Please tag me. I definitely, or if you don't post your stuff, inbox me. Yeah, it is definitely the sizing. So so let me just, I will clarify the question about true to size. It is, or did you say true to size? Is it true to size? Yes. The sizing matches the measurements on this. That's what I should say. In terms of whether somebody who wears a size 14 normally has a 30-inch waist, I don't. I don't know if that's what you mean by true to size. Like, is it, but it does match the measurements, because again, I added to take it up to a 16, 18, a 16 in the waist, and 18 in the waist, 16 in the hips, and it fit exactly. I just made those adjustments by using some tracing paper. You talk about the measurements on the envelope. Yes, so it does match the measurements on the envelope. If you are, as long as you follow those measurements on the envelope, it does match. That's for what I just did with this one. It matches, but it is small. It's smaller than what you normally, like other patterns that I've just recently made. A size 14 was not 30-inch waist. That's a little waist. I wish I had a 30-inch waist. I don't. I'm not far from that, but I don't have that. Yeah, so it is, but I like the pattern a lot. I've been wanting to make it for a minute. And I do plan to make it in another fabric too. That's another one of my goals, to make it another fabric. Anyway, that's all I have. I appreciate all of you for hanging in there. And so next Friday, I will not be on. Julian will be on. Julian will be on next Friday. He's covering for me next Friday. I unfortunately have a work event, and I will not be home until way after our time. So Julian's going to be covering for me next Friday. So you will see him next Friday. But then I will be back with you the following Friday, which will be September the 15th. And I will be on with Dee by Patterns by Dee. And we're going to be doing Nikki Beauty du Jour's pattern, her pants. We will be doing her pants. So stay tuned for that, because I will have a guest. I'm excited about that as well. And yeah, so that's September the 15th. And yeah, anyway. Thank you, Top Notch. I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. I appreciate you for hanging out with me for the last few hours. And I will see you all in 2 weeks. Remember, Julian will be here next week covering for me. So definitely stop by 7 o'clock on Friday and you will see Julian. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Make sure you are free from labor. It's Labor Day, so you should be free from labor and relaxing. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye, Jay. I'm calling you.